Welcome to A Simple Life. This is the second time I filmed this video, and my problems have only gotten worse. We've had a mom and two cubs, or young cougars, in our area, and they've been killing a lot of animals. Not just deer, but goats and sheep. Matter of fact, they've killed like 14 animals within about a half mile of this property. We haven't lost any animals, but I have felt the effects of it on our farm. And the biggest effects that I felt was up at the top. All my apple grafts have been absolutely destroyed by the deer. When I say destroyed by the deer, like they're done. Like those apple trees that I grafted 2 years ago, almost all the grafts have been snapped off, which is really unfortunate. The trees are pretty much at this point done. So that's been the first thing. The second thing is last week, I had a deer come in my greenhouse, and it came in, it ate the tops off all my beets, then it went down, ate a bunch of the broccoli, and then embedded down in my broccoli and just squashed a bunch of plants. Then directly after that, the boys left my gate open right here. This isn't their fault, it's my fault, well, the goats got in our garden. Now, I called Clint when I saw them on a camera because I had put a trail cam up, and I told Clint, hey, go get them out of the garden. So between the goats and the deer, let me show you what has happened in my garden because it's rough. Okay, so my beets are gone. The deer destroyed them. My broccoli, I'm not sure if any of this is going to come back. It's been really eaten back hard. Onions are fine. Tomatoes are pretty good. This broccoli, which is the larger cluster of broccoli, they're really nice, big, beautiful heads. We got one head out of all of them, and I think it's done. I'm probably just going to have to pull it. When we come down here, we lost a bunch of lettuce in here that all got eaten down. And then today, we came up, and as you can see, my bib lettuce, all my romaine has been eaten on all the way down. Some of my riptide, and this. My broccoli over here, which was my second set of broccoli, it's been eaten down. Yes, between the deer and the goats getting in, yeah, it's been hammered. Okay, this is the perfect time to talk about how we deal with this going forward, because clearly this isn't sustainable if you're trying to do a business. So one of the things I'm going to do is the pig panels around the side has worked really good for keeping animals out of here. I'm going to actually be putting 2 pig panels up on the ends, or 6 feet worth of paneling up on the ends from now on in all my greenhouses. 2 things it does. First of all, it really will keep out the goats. It'll also keep the deer from being able to get in here. And that is a key. If I can keep the deer from getting in my greenhouses, I'll be able to prevent them from bedding in here when a cougar or something comes in. And that is the first problem. The first problem is our wildlife management division here in Oregon is lackluster. We'll put it that way. Instead of managing the cougars or anything like that, they have let them get way out of control. And when I say the way out of control, when you talk to people who track the number of cougars and stuff we have in Oregon, the numbers are absolutely outrageous. Nobody's talking about it, but it's a really big problem. The fact that we've had 3 in our area, once again, it is offspring, but they've been ravaging this area, and basically wildlife management is like, well, there's nothing we can do. Sorry. They won't help you at all. They don't care. Obviously, some of us have taken it upon ourselves to help rid this area of that problem. And I have to say, a couple neighbors were able to remove 2 of the 3 cougars. We still have one that's been popping up on trail cams, but that has helped a lot with the deer, because since those 2 have been gone, the deer have disappeared, which is great. Unfortunately, it's about 2 nights too late for my garden. The second thing is my goats. Well, The issue with my goats is we just finished logging. The area that they were in is pretty spent. And so I've been waiting for the loggers to leave to be able to put up a new area, because most of the areas I would have put them in, well, the loggers were having access through and driving through. So now the loggers are gone. I can actually put them in a new area. Unfortunately, I've been a bit busy, and so my garden paid the consequences for it. But this is also leading me to realize that if I'm going to actually take putting a business up here seriously and actually go through and do it properly, I need to think about how I'm going to deal with this type of problem in the future, because the deer thing, we've never had a problem like that. I've never had deer go in my greenhouse. I've never had deer do anything with the gardens up here. That has never been a problem. All of a sudden this year, it's been a problem. And it's not just for me, it's been for a lot of folks. Matter of fact, my neighbor down the hill who has tomatoes, every day we would see the deer in there eating his tomatoes. You go down the middle of the day, they're in there eating the tomatoes. Now, there's some ways that you can deal with some of that with some scent, and I think they used to call them blood bags and stuff like that. But for me, I'm realizing that I need to think about this in a totally different way than I've in the past. Doing something like these pig panels that are about 3.5 feet tall or so, that's not going to stop a goat, and it's definitely not going to stop a deer. So in the greenhouses, what I'll probably do in the future is get a taller panel, something more on the range of 5 feet, maybe a horse panel or something like that, and use horse panels on the ends. The reason I really like using the horse panels or some type of panel like this is I get good airflow. I'm able to have airflow go through. It's not shut down. I don't have plastic. Now, if I do end up using fans and stuff like that, that's going to change. But for these ones that are going to be open like this, half of the year, they're going to be open like this. I really would like to be able to not have to worry about deer and goats going in and wrecking my garden like you can see they have done. Good part is this garden right now, even though I put a lot of work into it, it was a test bed. So while I am a little brokenhearted and I'm not super happy about it, it's a learning experience, and I would rather learn it this year than in 2 years or 3 years when this is my livelihood and I come up and I've lost months of produce. That would be really devastating. So how am I going to handle this? What am I going to do? Well, a couple things we're going to do. The goats, I'm actually going to be putting in like 3 pastures up top. They're going to be broken up so I can kind of move my goats between 3 different pastures. That's the first thing I'm going to do to deal with the goats. The other thing that I'm going to have up here is I'm going to have actually pigs up here, and those pastures are going to be down over next to the pigs. All that fencing is going to be high tensile electrified fencing. It's going to be really good. It's going to totally prevent anybody from escaping. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. The second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start figuring out and laying out where I want to put deer fencing. What is deer fencing? Why have I not put it up in the past? Well, I was really hoping not to have to put it up because, well, let me show you. So I was really hoping not to have to put it up. And the main reason I was hoping not to have to put it up is we just don't have a massive deer population around here. But what I'm realizing is I only really need coyotes or a cougar to come through the area and really start putting pressure on our deer. And the deer are going to start pushing in closer and closer to humans and where they feel safe. And unfortunately, that could be my gardens, or like the other night, my greenhouse, literally bedded down in my greenhouse. There's not really much I can do about that. I'm not up here. So in this area right here, and I want to show you, that's why I'm walking down here, is I'm going to have close to a half an acre of produce and stuff in here. And it's just open to the hillside around me. So I need to figure out and kind of come up with a plan of how I can fence this off. The issue is I'm going to have gardens around this whole entire area. So now I really need to come up with a way of fencing the whole area kind of off, and what that looks like, and how, if there's any way, to make it secure so that way I'm not losing huge amounts of produce every season to deer. Well, here are my boys. All right, boys. The boys are currently putting wood chips in the pathways. I showed you that the other day, and I think today they did about 3 or 4 rows. Let's go take a look. So as I get a better plan together of how I'm going to put fencing, where I'm going to put this infrastructure, so far I haven't built out a real plan. I have an idea. The idea is to basically do like a 3-sided fence around all the orchard and this garden area. And when I say 3-sided is it'll be down one side of the property, across, and then back up. And the other side will be actually protected and guarded by the livestock guardian dogs. I'm not sure if that's exactly what we're going to do, but it's the idea. I'm thinking that's what we're going to be doing. The boys the other day came up and they did a couple of these rows, and they currently have done, you guys did 2 more today? 3 more? Good job. Yep, these 3. Good job. Good job, boys. Thank you. And they're doing a really good job of keeping them from being on the beds. We'll even these out and kind of take a rake along and go over them. But I'll show you how Clint's doing this, because it's actually pretty smart the way he's doing it. And then Clint's just pulling it down like that. And obviously the first bit can go a little bit wide, but that's okay. It's not the end of the world. They're just wood chips and they'll break down.
Go. Stop.
Now, all these wood chips are actually wood chips that were given to us. We didn't pay for them. They were given to us by the local tree companies when they come through and do storm cleanup and stuff like that. All right, well, I figured I would inform you, show you my garden. It's really unfortunate. I'm so glad I learned the lesson this year and not 2 years or 3 years from now when I have a CSA or restaurants or a farmer's market that I'm going to on a regular basis, and now I'm out all my produce. That would have been really devastating. Not that this wasn't devastating, trust me, it was a hard lesson to learn, but it's just life. Sometimes you learn those hard lessons and there's just nothing you can really do about it. You just take it in stride and know that much better to learn it now than when you have a couple acres of vegetables. All right, well, thank you guys so much for joining us on A Simple Life. Hopefully next week I have a much happier, better update than my garden being destroyed by goats and deer. All right, have a good one. Bye.